What is up, beautiful people, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Cinematic Black Facts with your girl Alicia G. This is a quick look into black people and other people of color in the cinematic history you never learned. So let's just dive right on into this week, shall we? Now, this person this week is celebrating a culture that sadly does not get as much attention as it should, because truly this culture is beautiful, interesting, and just something that you would love to dive into to learn more about. Now, this person also was inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They were also the first Oklahoma State Treasurer, and they had the pleasure of telling their story and their people's story to the one and only Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Now, if you haven't figured out who it is, that is okay. That is just simply due to the fact that not many people know about her. But we are changing that. This week we are talking about Mary Frances Thompson, but she is known as Tayata. Now let's learn a little bit more about the lovely Tayata. Tayata was born Mary Frances Thompson in Emmett, Chickasaw Nation, now in Johnson County, Oklahoma, to Thomas Benjamin Thompson, a Chickasaw, and Bertie Thompson. The name Tayata is actually the Maori New Zealand Aboriginal word for the morning. It was given to her by an unknown person. Tayata began her early education in a one-room tribal school, but after 2 years she was sent to Bloomfield Academy, a Chickasaw boarding school for girls. At Bloomfield she met Muriel Wright, a teacher who became her role model. Tayata graduated high school from the Chishmonga, Oklahoma, where she was a salutatorian. In the fall of 1915, Tayata began college at the Oklahoma College for Women, now the University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma, in Chickasaw, and graduated in 1919. During her time at university, she worked as an assistant in the theater department for the theater instructor Frances Dismore Davis. It was during this time that Tayata was first introduced to the stage. Davis encouraged Tayata to use Native American stories as a basis for her senior performance at the Oklahoma College for Women, and Tayata made her debut as an artist during her senior year, performing songs and stories from several different tribes. The debut was well received, and she was asked to perform at the University of Oklahoma and various other institutions. Upon graduation, Tayata was offered a part in the traveling Choctaw circuit by Thurlow Lawrence, who had been in the audience at her senior performance. The tour gave Tayata an opportunity to travel across the United States and foster her talents as a performer. She undertook further training in the theater at the Carnegie Institute in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She then moved to New York City, where she performed in several Broadway productions. Her most notable role was Andromache in The Trojan Woman. She eventually decided to concentrate on her one-woman performances of Native American songs and stories. Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of then New York Governor Franklin Delano Roosevelt, invited Tayata to perform at the governor's mansion. After Franklin was elected president, Tayata performed at the White House for his first state dinner. In 1939, Tayata performed at Hyde Park for the Roosevelts and the visiting King George VI and Queen Elizabeth of England, who were visiting the United States. The King and the Queen then invited Tayata to perform in England. In addition to traveling across the United States, Tayata visited Denmark, Sweden, Estonia, Finland, England, Peru, Guatemala, Canada, and Mexico. Tayata's career spanned more than 60 years, and she collected hundreds of stories from different tribes. During her performances, she told numerous stories such as There Are Birds of Many Colors by Hamu, The Corn Ceremony, and The Blue Duck. The Chickasaw storyteller Lynn Monroney, who studied with Tayata, published an illustration children's book adaptation of Tayata's telling of the story Baby Rattlesnake in 1986. On September 28, 1933, Tayata married Dr. George Clyde Fisher, who was able to introduce her to greats such as Albert Einstein, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, E.W. Deming, Clark Whistler, and Chief Buffalo Child Long Lance. She was also the niece of Douglas H. Johnston, the last governor of the old Chickasaw Nation. Tayata died in Oklahoma City on October 26, 1995. Her legacy is continued through her family, which includes former Oklahoma State legislator Helen Tayata Cole and Helen's son, U.S. Congressman from Oklahoma, Tom Cole. I am always impressed and amazed by the history that I have been learning doing this series, and I'm sad that I never learned about this in school, because she was truly someone that was important. Telling the stories of your people is something that needs to be addressed and needs to happen, because when we do not tell the stories of the people that we have lost, we will not remember them, and that is not fair to everything that they did for this country. Because let's remember, people, the natives are native. Anyway, here on Cinematic Black Facts, as always, we honor you, we salute you, we respect you, but most importantly, Tayata. We thank you for everything you did for the Chickasaw Nation and also for the community of actors. Growing and learning and sharing stories, that is what we do. So we thank you. Now, with all that being said, I think that is a cut, a print, a slate, and a wrap on this week's episode. Let me know who you want to see next in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a happy and exciting weekend. I'll be back.